Let's talk about the storm this weekend. We are seeing the potential, I'm going to say that at this point, for a heavy snow. I feel confident that someone will see a snowstorm as we head into Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, starting here, maybe as far west as North Texas, the Panhandle, all the way into the Northeast. A shift of a few hundred miles could mean a huge difference between rain or a heavy snow. So let's talk about the players on the field. This piece of energy here, diving into the west, I want to show you this because this right here is our storm. I'm going to back this up because I want to give you some context. First of all, the energy that will be our storm isn't even ashore yet as of this evening when I'm making this video. So the forecast model data that we're looking at hasn't even sampled the strength of this system. I talked about this some on my live stream last night, and I compare trying to aim where this system is going to be to like shooting an arrow across a 100-yard field, right? So if you're aiming down the field and you're aiming here, but if you move your arrow by 1 inch, how far off are you going to be when that hits the target 100 yards away? You're going to be way off. Same thing here. If we're not pointing at the right direction with the model data, we're going to be way off. So I think we get a better sampling of this system, especially as we head into Friday and Saturday. Once it moves ashore through weather balloons that the National Weather Service sends up twice a day, that data gets plugged into the 0Z and the 12Z model data runs, and we get a better solution. You get better forecasting because you get a better aim at what you're hitting here. And I think that's one of the reasons that I want to wait. Especially before I say, look, this is the stake I'm taking. I do feel confident that something's going to happen. So let's take a look at this upper low and trough really spinning here across parts of the Four Corner states and eventually Texas. So this is an interesting area to watch from the Panhandle of Texas up through Oklahoma, and then our storm deepens. It goes negatively tilted a little bit here on the latest run of the GFS, and this right here is a much further south track than, say, the European, which we're going to look at that in just a second. This map here is probably a little more familiar, so let's back it up. Here we go heading into Friday. Blue is snow, green is rain, and we're looking at a few rain showers heading into parts of the Tennessee Valley as we start Friday, all the way back into Mississippi, Louisiana. Too warm for any snow as far north as Michigan, over into the Northeast, and then even into parts of the UP of Michigan. We're talking about showers, rain showers. Colder air, though, here it comes behind our front, and we're starting to see that push of cold air into parts of Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota, and even a few snow showers now moving to the UP of Michigan. Here comes our system across the west. This is going to be our potential storm for the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic as we head into the early next week. It will bring some snow showers to the Four Corner states, and as this system starts to move to the east, as we move into early Sunday morning, we could see snow break out from the northern panhandle of Texas into the panhandle of Oklahoma, maybe southern Kansas. Even though the European deterministic model is a little bit further south, I don't think you're completely out of the woods. And Oklahoma, here, this is the area that I would watch for some heavy snow. The last couple of model runs on the European, look at this. Anything over purple is more than 6 inches. If you're in this area, maybe even further north, I would definitely keep an eye on it as we head through the weekend. And then, especially tomorrow, I think we'll have better model data. So subscribe. I'll keep these video updates coming. And then look at this stripe of snow off to the north and east. I think it gets more questionable as far as aligning that narrow strip of snow. Remember that arrow concept. You're shooting down a field that's 100 yards. What if our data's off a little bit? So that, again, I think that's the tricky part. One thing's for sure, I think we are shooting an arrow, and that would be the storm that is on the way. And the GFS this afternoon, much less bullish on that snow across Texas, but still targeting Oklahoma. And remember I said Kansas? Look at that. The GFS is a little further to the north here for Kansas. Let's go on forward with the European. As we move through the day on Sunday, everything starts to move to the north and east. So now we're into Monday morning early, potentially bringing that snow and rain too. This rain could be heavy too across the southeast, moving into the mid-Atlantic. The European, I'm just going to tell you, is further north than the GFS. I actually feel more confident because it's been more consistent with the European run. And I think I like this look. I'm not ready to put my stake in the ground and say this is what's going to happen, because I think when better data comes in, I'll feel much more comfortable. But I definitely would watch this anywhere from the mid-Atlantic to the north and east. The European says, hey, we're getting heavy snow from almost all of Pennsylvania to southern New York, all of Connecticut, Massachusetts, southern Vermont, New Hampshire, New York City, very close here on the European model. In fact, everything may start as rain and then flip over to snow quickly as we see some cold air quickly drop in because of dynamic cooling. And then that system moves off the East Coast. I want to show you the GFS. Remember, it showed a little less snow here in the panhandle of Texas, but still picking up on that snow. And this is a much further south solution, bringing the low right here through the mid-Atlantic and then quickly transitioning off the coast. So that snow is a little bit further to the south. Now we're talking about an Ohio, Indiana, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Northern Virginia, Delaware, New Jersey, Philadelphia, possibly the eastern shore of Virginia. It stays just a little bit further south than New York City and New England. Do I believe this? I do not believe this at all, because here's where we were, say, just 6 hours ago. Here's where we were 6 hours before that, further to the north, and here's where we were last night. So what's interesting to talk about on the GFS, it has done the windshield wiper effect to the extreme. All day yesterday, the model trends were further north, 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 and north. 4 in a row. Overnight, starting at the midnight run, they started moving south, 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 whereas the European pretty much holding its own. Again, a lot of model differences. This is going to get worked out over the next couple of days. Here's a closer look at the European run. There's that narrow band of snow across Ohio, Indiana, barely scraping Michigan, and then putting heavy snow from, say, Harrisburg north into the Poconos, and then into southern New York, and then just crushing Massachusetts, crushing northern Connecticut, and then just burying Boston here with this run of the European. I feel confident. Again, remember I said I don't know how confident I am about where the arrow goes being the storm, but I'm confident that there is going to be an arrow shot, and that would be the storm. Take a look at the European ensembles showing that storm somewhere, but look at the differences. The ensembles use different parameters and just give you different outcomes, and of course then you end up with a mean, but look at the wild ranges. You've got this huge band of snow back here from Missouri north almost to Chicago, just crushing Michigan and really pushing things to the north. Or do you believe this band here, a little bit further to the south, just crushing New York City? This one's very similar to that. And I think that's why when you look at the ensemble forecasting, this is the GEFS, which is the GFS ensembles. This is using that average, even though, remember I showed you, the GFS deterministic was much further to the south. Look where the ensembles are, pushing it here into New England. Still crushing Pennsylvania, into New York, and then into New England. Now, once we get rid of this storm, I think we stay very active over the next couple of weeks, potentially a clipper system as we head into next week. And then beyond that, I think this is an area to watch here across the Gulf Coast. What happens? Do we see an area of low pressure here spin up somewhere? Well, the latest run of the GFS tries to bring a Great Lakes cutter in and then bring another storm in. But what's interesting is if you go back just a couple of hours ago, it was really trying to show a more southern snowstorm. I'm not interested in the placement at this point, but I'm interested in the fact that the models are picking up on a stormy pattern. I'll keep you updated. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.